Hey guys, welcome to or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Angelisa and on this channel we read, discuss, and obsess over books together. And in this video I will be doing my May wrap up as well as a teeny tiny little book haul. I somehow accumulated some books over this month despite being on a book buy ban, but I did really well. A lot of these I didn't buy, or I was like at a trip at a really tiny bookstore, so I wanted to look at what was there. So that means I didn't buy any of these at full price, which is really fun. Anyway, first I'm going to start off with the month of May, what I read for the month, and as always we start off with storygraph statistics. Okay, so in the month of May I read 7 books. Not bad. That's like my lucky number 7, for a total of 2,935 pages. And the moods were mostly emotional, which does make sense, followed by funny, tense, lighthearted, dark, adventurous, and then reflective and hopeful. All of my books this month were fiction. I didn't read any nonfiction this month. For genres, I read 4 romance, 4 contemporary, 2 literary, 2 historical, 2 fantasy, 1 dystopian, 1 young adult, 1 sports, and 1 science fiction. And my average star rating for the month was 4.5 stars, so I did not rate a book lower than 4 stars this month. I read 7 books, but I really did enjoy the books that I read this month. So for that reason, I am happy and excited to share with you what I read. So that being said, let's jump right into it. The first book that I read for the month of May was The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne. This is a prequel to the Hunger Games trilogy. I had already watched the movie, so I did know most of the plot in this. However, I did want to see kind of how it was written and really just get into the mind of President Snow, because in the movie I still didn't understand like why he was freaking out sometimes or where his thought process was going. And my friend, when I was watching with her, she was telling me because in the book it kind of like you understand how he gets from point A to like Z in 2 seconds. So yeah, I did end up rating this 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good and did definitely like explain where he came from, but there were just some parts that like I feel like there could have been more detail, and I felt like the entire games part went really fast. And not that I want to read like a bunch of pages of someone like children killing each other, but I just felt like there was some parts that went really fast and then some parts that went really slow. But overall, really loved it. Loved the movie, and I just love like the Hunger Games entire series, to be honest. So really good read. Next, I hopped on a flight to Kelowna, BC, and I read Yours Truly basically the whole time on the plane, and then once I got there I finished it off that night, and this was so good. I rated this 5 stars. This is one of my favorite Abby Jimenez books. I've literally read like 2 since then, and I'm already like, I'm just obsessed. So this one I thought was absolutely perfect. It had mental health representation and like an anxiety rap that I've never ever seen before. It was just so freaking good, and just how it dealt with like terminal illness and how it can be to be a person in that, as well as kind of like be the family member of someone like that, or having to take care of someone who like you are literally like they're your sibling, and this is not something that you ever anticipated having to do before. But yeah, so I loved this book for so many different reasons in so many different ways, and yeah, loved this. A million stars. Definitely would recommend. And it is a companion novel to Part of Your World, which I think I also rated 5 stars. Like that book was also really good. Next, while we were in Kelowna and just like exploring the kind of, I wouldn't say countryside, but like literally down the street from where we were staying was a bunch of cows and horses, and I got to pet some kangaroos and a bunch of stuff. And yeah, so I wouldn't say it was very cowboy-y, but it was still just reminiscent of those like Canadian farm life vibes. And I was reading Flawless by Elsie, which if you don't know is based in Alberta. Kelowna is in BC, the province just kind of like west of Alberta, and it's very close to Alberta. So it was just interesting getting to read this, and I really did love this. Actually, I rated this 5 stars as well. I have a feeling that the entire series is gonna be 5 stars for me. I was literally like the whole trip I was having so much fun on the trip, but also just couldn't stop thinking about this book and like wanted to read more. And I do love Rhett. Like I think he's a really good book boyfriend. Like, I know that there's other characters in the book that people talk about and that they love more, but I don't know. I did love this, and I don't know what to say. Like, I literally get so flustered when I think about this, because just the spice and like the entire ending and the entire cast of characters and like all the brothers and the family too. Like, I love interconnected standalone series. Like, they're just so much fun. So yeah, I'm really excited to move on to Heartless and read Cade's story, because you got tidbits of him in here, and he's an interesting fella. Moving on the plane ride back, I decided to pick up another Abby Jimenez book and go right to the beginning of her kind of like series that she has. So this is The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez. Basically, this is about a guy who, they're both like, one is the best man and one is the maid of honor of this couple who are getting married, and these two are trying not to like each other for a specific reason. This book, well, no, he is like in love with her and she's just like, no, we can't like date. This book honestly dealt with a lot of heavy topics, which one of them I did not expect at all. Like, that I feel came out of nowhere, and I was not ready for that. And even though I read the trigger warnings at the beginning, I still just like wasn't ready. I was not ready, and I realized how important it was to set up the plot for her next book in it, the Happy Ever After playlist. But yeah, I wasn't ready. There also was some stuff in this that just like bothered me a little bit, but I still enjoyed Abby Jimenez's writing in general. Like, her writing is so good and fresh and funny and just like lighthearted, but just deals with these tough topics like infertility and, like I was saying, like terminal illness, anxiety. There's just so many different topics that she's touched upon in her books that I feel like are topics that like need to be addressed, and it's just, yeah, it was very lovely reading this book. Like, I loved it. So I did end up rating it 4 stars, not 5, but I would still definitely recommend reading it. And yeah. Ooh. Next up, we had the book of the month for my book club with the kind of like Toronto girlies, and it's Clytemnestra by Costanza Casati. And this was 5 stars. I loved this book. First of all, it read like a fantasy. So it didn't like, I love Madeline Miller's writing, which I'll get into in a minute, but this was very like, it just read like a fantasy. Like, she didn't need to use these big poetic fluffy words to make her point across. She kind of just said what was happening, how Clytemnestra dealt with it, how she felt through all of it, and just the journey that this woman goes throughout this book. Like, if you know the original myth, you know what I'm talking about, but now imagine knowing all that and then reading it in her point of view and just why she does the things that she does. So this was just amazing. I would definitely recommend, like, one of the best feminist retellings I've read, and I loved it. That being said, I did also read Circe by Madeline Miller for my other book club's book of the month at work, and I did really enjoy this as well. I rated this one 4.5 stars. I love the entire story and like the things that the author added to the original myth to kind of add more dimension and substance and texture to it. I loved it. I thought it was really good. There was just sometimes where it felt really slow, and like that fast pacedness that I was getting with Clytemnestra, I wasn't getting with this. So that is something to bear in mind, but I really did enjoy this. I loved the Song of Achilles, and I don't know if Madeline Miller has any other ones out, but I'm like, girly, where are you? Like, I want to read more of your things. Yeah, 4.5 stars. Would definitely still recommend. Another great feminist retelling where you take a story of a woman who, like, historically people have described as basically just like evil, and then you kind of find out what happened and why they might be acting that way, or what the true story was in this myth from her point of view. And it's just so interesting to read, honestly. All right, the last book that I read this month was another Abby Jimenez. This was the month of Abby Jimenez, and I did move on to the Happy Ever After playlist. So this is about a person who lost her fiance, and it deals a lot with grief, but I honestly was kind of surprised by how much it didn't deal with grief at the same time, if that makes sense. This is also a like pop star celebrity romance, and I will say this is one of the first celebrity romances that I enjoyed how much it just talked about like the difficulties that celebrities go through, such as things with like privacy, like why their relationships often don't work out with people who aren't also celebrities, or even with people who are celebrities. A lot of like the behind the scenes stuff of a life as a celebrity, but I didn't have to read like all the crap about like their concerts or whatever. Like, there was this one book that I read recently that was a celebrity pop star romance, and I didn't like it. Like, it was so bad. But this was really good. So I did end up rating this one 4 stars. I honestly really liked it. There was just some stuff in it that I was like, okay. And I was having a hard time understanding. I'm just gonna say like certain decisions and like just the back and forth was a lot for me as well. I feel like when you read it, you'll know what I'm talking about because I don't want to spoil the book. But yeah, I would still definitely recommend it, and I'm excited to read Life's Too Short as well because I think that's the last one in this whole thing, and I don't know who that's about, so we shall see. Okay guys, that is the 7 books that I read this month. Now I'm just gonna quickly tell you guys about some books that I got this month. So first of all, we have 2 pre-orders. First of all, we have King of Sloth by Huang. This doesn't, really need much explanation. It's Huang. It's the King of Sin series. It's like the 3rd one in the series. And I pre-ordered all of them because I knew that I was going to love them and I wanted them all to match, and they're just so gorgeous. I pre-ordered this from Blackwell, so this is the UK version. So it's a little bit smaller. Also, with that, I also got The Last Murder at the End of the World by Stuart Turton. So Stuart Turton also wrote, give me a second, I think the 7 Lives of Evelyn Hardcastle, and that one was just a very interesting concept. So I saw the synopsis for this and I was like, oh, this sounds interesting, so let me read it for you. Outside the island, there's nothing. The world was destroyed by a fog that swept the planet, killing anyone it touched. On the island, it is idyllic. 122 villagers and 3 scientists living in peaceful harmony. The villagers are content to fish, farm, and feast, to obey their nightly curfew, to do what they're told by the scientists. Until, to the horror of the islanders, one of their beloved scientists is found brutally stabbed to death. And then they learn that the murder has triggered a lowering of the security system around the island, the only thing that was keeping the fog at bay. If the murder isn't solved within 107 hours, the fog will smother the island and everyone on it. But the security system has also wiped everyone's memories of exactly what happened the night before, which means that someone on the island is a murderer and they don't even know it. Like, what? Like, it just sounds so interesting. And I remember the 7 Lives of Evelyn Hardcastle was like just such an interesting concept, and though it was confusing and hard to keep up with sometimes, I think it was because I had audiobook that one. So I'm gonna try this author again because I think his concepts are just so cool, and I'll definitely let you guys know how it goes. Next, as I had mentioned, I went to Kelowna and I went to a few small bookshops that had some discounted books. So these are the ones I got. I'm just gonna go quickly and tell you. So the first one was A Funny Kind of Paradise by Jojo Owens. Now this one is kind of following this woman who's 70 years old, and she's going through kind of like the end of her life and reflecting on the past 70 years of her life in parenthood. And she's now on a feeding tube. She had a stroke, so she's paralyzed, not able to feed herself. She's on a feeding machine, a breathing machine, but she still finds that she wants to live. So you're kind of just going through those little moments at the end of her life where she's finding joy and happiness. And yeah, I wanted something that would be a little bit, I don't know, reflective and cute and something that will make me think. Next, I got a Lisa Jewell book, Then She Was Gone. I heard great things about this book and I saw it and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna pick it up. It's one of the Lisa Jewell books that are on my list of books from her that I wanted to read. So when I saw it for literally half the price, how much is it usually? It's usually $24.99 and I got it for $12. So I thought it was a really good price and I picked it up. And then we have 2 Jojo Moyes books. So my mother-in-law had read some Jojo Moyes and she told me it was really good. So I decided that I wanted to read her, and I saw both of these books, which is I think the first and second book in like a interconnected standalone series thing. So yeah, they were both, I believe, like $10 each. Yeah, they're literally $10. So I picked them up. And then lastly, I've been telling you guys I wanted to get this for the longest time, and I told you guys that I wanted to read the rest of the Shadow Me series, but I didn't have Believe Me. So I saw it there and I picked it up and I'm so excited because it's the last novella. Ooh, yes, and I got a little bookmark too from like the little bookshop. So yeah, those are the ones that I got in Kelowna. And then I have like 2 kind of like little surprises that happened. So my friend Alexis, she went to Germany recently and she said that she saw this like copy of Caraval there and picked it up for me. I had no idea that she had bought it for me. She came over to my house and was showing me, and then I assumed it was hers. So I messaged her and was like, you left your book here. And she was like, no, that's for you. And I was like, oh, really? Like, it's so pretty. And I think it would look really cute with the other ones. So yeah, a little like kind of UK version of Caraval and from Germany. The map in this is also really cool. I don't remember if mine has a map, but this is really cool. Lastly, a fun little surprise was I was going for a walk the other day, and on my way home, I always pass by the little library at the end of my street, and I saw this and I was like, I need to pick it up, and I'm bringing back some books later. So somehow I got lucky enough to find the entire Game of Thrones series. I've been waiting to purchase this because A, it's really expensive, and if I was gonna purchase them myself, I wanted the standard sized ones. This is the mass market paperback box set, but they are still just like in amazing condition. Like, let me take one out to show you. Like, literally in pristine condition. Like, I don't even think this person read it because there's no, like, the spines are not cracked. I think they read the first book maybe. Even that, the spine is not cracked at all. So they also took really good care of these books. So thank you so much, whoever you are that put it in the little library. Thank you. And I'm so excited. These are all 1,000-page books. So we shall see when I get to them and how long it takes me to read them, but I've been holding off on buying the series for a while. I watched the show and I absolutely loved it, but I've heard that the books are so much better, and just like the changes that the show made to take out stuff from the books, like I'm really excited to read that in here. So yeah. Anyway, that is a little book haul for the month of May. I was not planning on having one for the month of May, but it happened because things happen, and I ended up somehow getting books, whether it be gifted to me or, you know, finding them somewhere or getting a really good deal on them. They showed up in my house and now they're here. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys had read in May and what your plans are for reading for June. If you want to watch my June TBR, you can click the video link above, you know, that thing. And yeah, I love you guys so much, and I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video, hopefully.